Fanspeak, where the plan runs deep. The team grind hard, don't eat, don't sleep. From best ball dreams to DFS streaks, they help you print money every single week. No cap, no gimmicks, we breaking limits. NFL bets, yeah, we live this business. Meg and Steve, that OG vision. Draft room killers on a lifelong mission. More stress to the Sunday spread. Fanspeak's that voice that's inside your head. Best ball, DFS, NFL bets. They built it brick by brick, no regrets. Fanspeak team, printing money since day one. Fanspeak, forever.
And okay, hold on. I don't know why Meg's picture is screwing this up. Give me a second. What is going on? Oh boy. Okay, this is. There we go. Sorry about that, guys. Thank you guys for everyone jumping in, joining me for another episode of Talking Ball with Steve-O Speak. We're going to do some big board drafts today. We're back at it after last night's show. Let me hit up chat and then we'll start talking about what the topic, Meg prompt put out there is second year guys to target. We got Mike Robin here checking out the new emojis and icons that Meg has for our loyal Fanspeak fanatics that you can join YouTube memberships. So thank you guys. We got Paul doing the same. We got WFN Warehouse. A stack of boxes fell on me. I might not be able to make it. Tell the world I said draft Cam Skattebo. Well, I will tell the world you said draft Cam Skattebo, but hopefully you can get out of the stack of boxes falling on you and the rest of the workday goes well. We got Losimo checking in. My girl, she was definitely plotting something in that picture. Oh, she was. That was about a second before she threw me. So, I've fought long and hard to get over it, but it's been traumatic. But no. So first, let's talk about some rankings and where some second year guys are going. And I think the easiest thing to do is go position by position. We talked a lot about rookies, and there's going to be plenty more to talk about rookies. But we have these second year guys, and last year's draft class was definitely considered one of the better all-around draft classes. Extremely good at running back and tight end. Multiple quarterbacks ended up being viable, and a lot of receivers. But we just had a weird run out of bad landing spots, bad injuries. Some guys underperforming. So how do we feel about it going into year two? First off, you got to look at the quarterback position, right? And, at the top, you see Jackson Dart. He's fallen slightly, but he's quarterback 9. This does feel like a rich price for Jackson Dart, not just the injury side, just a lot of unknown. He had a truly nice fantasy floor and upside, and it was a lot due to his rushing. 487 yards, 9 touchdowns. Didn't start every game. Obviously, didn't start till I think week 4 or 5, and then missed some time due to injury as well in the middle when Jameis Winston was playing. So it's a very good year. I can see the upside. At the same time, he is one of the higher injury risks. I definitely would only be taking him in 3 quarterback drafts. And we just got the news today that Matt Nagy is his offensive coordinator. I can't say that's my favorite situation for Dart and company. I do think they're, Nagy maybe got a raw deal in Chicago, but, he went back to the Chiefs, and the Chiefs offense just hasn't been as dynamic as it was with Bieniemy. And I do think it's telling that Andy Reid was telling everyone that Matt Nagy should be a head coach, but we don't want him back as offensive coordinator, essentially. Maybe it'll be different under Harbaugh. There's obviously some fallen weapons for the Giants. So, I'm not going to totally be out on Dart, but I'm glad he's fallen to at least this spot. I do acknowledge the rushing upside, but it is tough when you have Trevor Lawrence, Dak Prescott, Mahomes, Brock Purdy, even Bo Nix. I mean, Bo Nix has a similar, not getting, he's 9 touchdowns in 2 years, but he's going to get probably 400-ish rushing yards, 3 to 6 touchdowns. So he can get a lot of what Dart does on the ground. I will take Dart in this range, definitely neighbor stacks, but I still would love to see the price fall a little bit more, and maybe it will. Like I said, I think quarterbacks, once we get all the landing spots, once we know where Malik Willis is going, Kyler's going, etc., I do think we will see some of these guys fall, just because right now we're taking them so early because we have more certainty. Next up, of course, Chuck, 25. So we're talking round 10, round 11. That's a high price for a Shuck. He was on the BBM winner. Sam Sherman had him, even though he didn't play essentially the first half of the year. And he also was limited even down the stretch. They'd mix in Taysom Hill. The good news is Taysom Hill not under contract. His contract's voided. I think that experiment's over in New Orleans. I do like Shuck year 2 with Kellen Moore. He's got a couple weapons we feel good about. Olave and Juwan Johnson. Pretty decent offensive line. Still, it's a high price. I mean, quarterback 19 for a guy who only played half a year. We just saw a year ago, people were trying to extrapolate Michael Penix 3-4 games. What did that mean? That can be tough. And I have some concern from that perspective, but I do like that Chuck has some rushing ability, rushing upside. And I thought he played well at the end. Finally, we have, actually not finally, but next up, Cam Ward, quarterback 24, ADP 150. Another guy who could fall a little bit when, I could easily see Willis and Murray going ahead of him. Daniel Jones might end up going ahead of him, when he re-signs with the Colts. But I actually think Ward has some surplus value here. I think you could make a case he should go ahead of Young or go ahead of Stroud. Maybe you can go ahead of Mendoza. Ward, it was a rough go for most of the year. He had a couple of decent games at the end of the year. Didn't use his legs as much as we'd like. Chuck used his legs more and played less time. Dart had as many touchdowns, played way less time. So, it hopefully gets a lot better from here for Cam Ward. The good news is, I think Brian Dable is a good fit. They have some offensive line pieces there. They need to get the most out of them. They have a young group of receivers, tight ends in DK, Ironmanner, and Helm that they took all in the 4th round last year. Spears and Pollard, maybe, whether they keep them or not, we'll have to see. Do think Ridley moves on. They need to add weapons, but they have an early pick. Could very well take a receiver there. Could take offensive line help there. My guess is they build around Cam Ward. So year 2, I think could be a lot better. And then the final rookie that we can talk about is Shedeur Sanders. I think he enters the year as the Browns' presumptive starter. Ran actually more than I think people gave him credit for. But yeah, it was a bad, didn't play a whole year. Complete all advanced metrics were not good. And just the 7 touchdowns to 10 interceptions, not a great look. The fact that he ran some is promising because this was not a big part of his game in college. So it could help his floor a little bit. I don't believe Deshaun Watson will be starting for them. And, that could maybe change things. That depends on how long the leash Shedeur has. Because despite the Pro Bowl bid, there's a lot of bad on his tape. And not to say that he can never develop, but it doesn't help that there's very little talent around him. I mean, this team is going to lose Jerome Ford. This team's going to lose David Njoku. The receiver room is Jerry Jeudy, an oft-injured Cedric Tillman, Isaiah Bond. Harold Fannon's very impressive. Quinton Judkins and Sampson are a good 1-2 punch at running back, but their offensive line is almost all free agents. So I think the big question is, what kind of O-line do they bring in? Can they get some pieces? a quality weapon that we feel a little bit better about Shedeur. Right now, though, with so much uncertainty, I actually feel a little better about Shedeur than like a JJ McCarthy. I think there's more of a chance that Shedeur's starting games than JJ McCarthy. Some of these other guys, Tua, Kirk Cousins, Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, if we know Rodgers is coming back, he's a better pick than Shedeur Sanders. If we know Kirk Cousins firmly gets the starting job in Minnesota, though I don't think we're going to know that too early. If it's that, or let's just say the Steelers, Rodgers doesn't come back, then Kirk Cousins is a better pick than Shedeur Sanders. Jacoby Brissett, if he definitely gets a starting job, he should probably be ahead of Sanders. But if Sanders is the Browns starting quarterback, we should be drafting him. We see this every year. Bad quarterbacks or quarterbacks on bad teams can't have enough fantasy value as long as you're not taking them too high. If we were taking him in the 10th round, yeah, that's terrible. But if you're taking him, pick 200, pick 190, pick 215, wherever he ends up going, that's probably okay. So that's my thought on the rookies. A little pricey for all of them outside of Cam Ward. Shedeur's late, but I'm going to want pieces just because I do think we have pretty good certainty, honestly, with all four. And I like the upside of Cam Ward. Let me hit up chat before we go to the next position. We got that fantasy monstering. Get your guys, absolutely. We got Bayou Bango checking in. I hope you're doing well. Appreciate that, Bayou. Don't be shocked. Honestly, don't be shocked. We saw Evan Ingram not fully have that role. They had some goal line rushing issues, particularly without Dobbins. So I could see them sign Taysom Hill, not to $16 million a year like he was getting, but he's this weird utility player. Definitely shouldn't be taking quarterback reps. We got Huheem's checking in. How's it going? Appreciate everyone for joining. I love it. You always making sure like the draft integrity. And yes, so good. Huheem's and I talked off stream. Tomorrow, same bat time, same bat channel, 1:00. I'm gonna have Huheem's joining me. So we'll talk some rookies, talk some, what we're projecting. So should be a good run. We got Ant checking in. Give Shuck over Dart. At that price, because that's the thing. Like, while I think Shuck's a little overpriced at 125-ish, he is still 50 picks past Dart, and Cam Ward's 25 picks later, so it's like 2-round difference. Shuck did show something to me, and honestly, I'm a big Kellen Moore fan. We've seen it for years now, and I understand Shuck is the least of these guys, but Dak had some of his best years with Kellen Moore. Herbert had a great year before he got injured in week 14 that year. Weeks 1 through 13, but at the time Herbert got injured, the year that Kellen Moore was offense coordinator, I think Herbert was QB6. Then he goes to Jalen Hurts. They win the Super Bowl. Hurts has a big year. Then I think he got the most out of Shuck. So I'm a big Kellen Moore fan. I'm excited to see what they do in year 2. They can add some more pieces for that offense. Got Chad Candles checking in. The morning streamer, GM Steve. Appreciate it, Chad. Hope you are doing well. Huheem's going to hit the bingo balls and scout the ladies with Steve. Oh, my. Yeah, no, it's nice. There's always something on. And speaking of which, another streamer, Fantasy Football Garage. What up, Steve? Hope you're doing well, Candyman. I went live last night. First I was on with PPR Tyler, then I did my stream, and then I jump off and Fantasy Football Garage is on with Bindles. So, I was done drafting for the night, but I just enjoyed watching and listening to them. With full off season, with the one, Sanders about to shock the world. Now, my biggest thing is there's just not a lot of weapons. Like, you say the ones, but outside of Fannin, these are 2s and 3s. But no, I do think he will be better in year 2. I always graded Sanders as a starting potential guy. I think he went to a rough situation with the Browns, not just, how he went in the 5th round and all that drama, but they just are a team devoid of weapons. Like, I understand that Jackson Dart only had one half with Malik Neighbors, but they had more weapons and talent last year than the Browns did. I mean, they lost some of it with Skattebo and Slayton missing some significant time. Same with the Saints, like Juwan Johnson, Chris Olave. For as good as Fannin is, give me those two guys over anything that the Browns can throw out there. We got Kicks checking in, GM. And yes, thank you, Bayou, for reminding everyone to hit the like button. Whatever works for content. So let me jump into the running back position. This is the big one. And we start early. We see Genty and Hampton, ADP 12.5, 16.5. I think that's a little rich on Genty, not by much. Hampton, I really love. I think his situation is just sets up to be so perfect. First, let's just take a little look at their numbers last year. Genty, 975 yards, 5 touchdowns, 55 receptions, 346 yards, and then another 5 touchdowns. So he definitely had some big fantasy points, 217 plus fantasy points. That's a good year. That's a very good year. But the problem was, it was his floor was next to zero, because we had some of those games where, like, the Raiders played the Chiefs, or the Raiders, like the first Broncos game, and I think Genty had like 3 points. Just absolutely horrendous upside. And sure, in best ball, we want the spike weeks, but you also, when you're taking a guy high, you need him to have some level of floor. He doesn't have to hit your lineup every week, but you want him to be at least capable to hit it every week. I do think things will be better with Mendoza. I do think things will be better with Kubiak. They need to add to the offensive line. This is going to be a key thing to watch this year. Are they bringing in free agents? Are they, obviously Mendoza's the first round pick, but are they then drafting some guys? They need to add to it. So I'll take Genty some at that ADP, just because at that turn, there's not a lot to love. But I honestly think Hampton has a real chance to be better. Missed a lot of time last year, unfortunately. But still, 545 rushing yards, 4 rushing touchdowns, 32 receptions, $192 receiving, and another touchdown. Last year, a lot went wrong for Hampton. He got injured for a significant amount of time. Both bookend tackles missed the majority of the year. And some of the time that he was out was when Joe Alt was still playing. They had other offensive line issues. They just didn't. They were still a playoff team. They were still a good offense, but it could have been so much better next year. It can be so much better next year if this offensive line can stay close to healthy. And I just think in year 2, I think they let Najee Harris walk. Kamani Vidal is probably the backup. Vidal, to me, is not a guy who's really going to threaten to take away a lot of time share. So I think Hampton, to me, it's like wheels up. This is a guy who could, have not just double-digit rushing touchdowns, but add, 3 to 5 receiving touchdowns, a combined, I think over 1,500 yards. So I really like where we're getting him at right now at this price. Next second-year guy to look at, obviously, our guy, Cam Skattebo. It's a little pricey. Wasn't even a starter for the first couple weeks. Takes over 410 rushing yards, 5 touchdowns, another 24 receptions, 207 and 2, 115 in less than half a year's work. As we see, that's pretty impressive. I mean, Genty's 217 for a year. If you double this, obviously Skattebo beats that. So, just really impressive per game for Skattebo. He was on a really strong pace. Fortunately, he suffers a serious injury. Just something to monitor. Like, where is his health at? The Matt Nagy thing for him, not great, not terrible. I think the biggest thing is they have a big offensive lineman, Manor, who's a free agent. Ideally, they bring him back. Hopefully, they keep adding to that unit. We'll have to see. So, while I wouldn't mind seeing Skattebo go a little later, I do like him a lot better than the next two backs, and that's Travion Henderson, RJ Harvey. Henderson, he's going to be in the Super Bowl, and he had 900 yards, 911 yards, 9 touchdowns, added a little bit more in the passing game, 35, 221, 1. Fortunately, outside of that 3-4 game stretch when Ramondre was banged up, and he had some big games. He had one other big game when Ramondre came back, but he just kind of got phased out of the offense as they got into the playoffs. Hasn't got a huge workload. They just don't seem to trust him. And this is coming from, Ramondre Stevenson had 5 fumbles earlier in the year, yet they still trust Stevenson more than Hendo. I worry how that's going to look in year 2. I think he will, get his opportunities, 700 plus yards. Hopefully he gets more involved in the passing game. It definitely seemed to like Stevenson more. But this to me is just too high of a price for a guy who is probably at best a 1B. And even that might truly just be the B back, the number 2 back. So I don't love this current price. And same for RJ Harvey. We don't know who they're going to, who the other back will be, but it's almost guaranteed they're bringing in another back. Harvey had nice touchdowns, a lot of receptions, total yards lower than we want. And I think whether it's they bring back Dobbins or they bring in somebody else, I think he's going to have some serious competition. So Harvey at that price, I'm just not really going to take. Judkins is right behind there, and I will take this. Look, I do think it's a bad offense, and he doesn't have near the passing game involvement. But I think there's a much clearer path to total yards and touchdowns than Harvey, and honestly, even Henderson. Judkins is coming off an injury, unfortunately got hurt late, but sounds like it's good. Sounds like he should be fully ready, so I'm not going to be too worried. Then we got another pocket of year 2 guys, Michelle Tootin and Kyle Monangai. The Tootin one's tough because if Etienne is gone, I still think they bring somebody in. Can he pay it off though? Yes. If Etienne's not gone and they invest in him, whether a franchise tag or a multi-year deal, I just don't see how we can pay this price. Top 80 pick this was not a 1A, 1B. He really wasn't getting heavily involved in the passing game. He had some good touchdown luck, I feel like. Given his limited red zone attempts, he converted it enough. But I don't know if that's sticky. That doesn't feel sticky. So to me, Tootin's price is just way off unless you're projecting Etienne being gone. Even then, I do think he's bringing in competition. I don't think it's they're going to be the Bayshell Tootin show. So I worry about upside. But at least then maybe you can pay out the price. Next is Kyle Monangai. This is kind of rich because I don't think Swift's going anywhere. But at least he showed a lot more than Tootin. He was clearly involved in the playoffs. Not a huge passing game workload, but for the type of back that he is, that's pretty solid. And he got more work as the season went on. For a full season next year, would not be surprised to see those attempts being closer to 200. A few more catches as well. This Bears offense should be really, really good. We've seen Ben Johnson before with 2 backs, Gibbs and Monty. Multiple years of these guys being top 12 backs in points per game. Monty, unfortunately, has always missed a little bit of time. But I'm quite all right with taking some Monangai shots in this range. Ideally, it'd be slightly lower, but it's just beyond this. There's so much uncertainty that Monangai, I think, is a better, as compared to say a Blake Corum, just a better back option. So next we go to Woody Marks and Corey Krosky-Merritt. Woody Marks, he was, for a late round guy, he was impressive. I think definitely exceeded expectations. What worries me is he's not going to have this role, whether it's Joe Mixon, whether they go out and sign somebody. There's going to be a lot more competition than Nick Chubb at the end of his career. That's my concern, because I don't think he showed that he absolutely 100% deserves a massive workload next year. I think he has a role, but as a roll back 115, that's not my favorite price. I mean, there's better rollbacks in this area, like secondary backs. You could say Tyron Tracy is a similar projection as a number 2 pass catching type back, and you're getting them 2 rounds later. These rookies definitely have the potential to be higher upside, like Emmett Johnson, Jonah Coleman. So not my favorite. Also not my favorite price is the Corey Krosky-Merritt. On paper, the 805, 8 touchdowns looks great. Almost no receiving work. He had a couple fumbles. He had some missed blocking assignments. Could be very inconsistent as a ball carrier. New offense coordinator, they did promote from within, but I do wonder if they're bringing in some competition. Last year they traded away Brian Robinson, but then Eckler getting injured early helped open things up for JCM. But honestly, Chris Rodriguez was more consistent in JCM. So you're getting Rodriguez literally over 100 picks later. I just think the chance that JCM is the true feature back, I think, is relatively small. Maybe he's part of a committee. Maybe it's a 2-man committee. Maybe it's a 3-man committee. If it's a 3-man committee, I think that's going to be a tough price. And right now, I'm going to wait and see on him. So do a couple more. Don't need to touch on every single rookie. I think I missed anyone. Dylan Sampson, I think clear backup in Cleveland. I expect him to be 183. I'm okay at that price. Caleb Johnson, 208, did nothing as a rookie. Just was behind both Warren and Gainwell. So got very limited opportunities. Gainwell's a free agent, former 3rd-round pick. I think taking a few shots here late. If he gets a role, he probably is looking at 200 plus carries. Could be a double-digit touchdown guy. So worth a few shots, but definitely some buyer beware. Kind of same with Jaden Blue. Didn't get in until legitimately both, not only Miles Sanders, who got hurt earlier, but Javonte Williams and Malik Davis went on IR for the last week of the season. Had a nice last week, but really could not earn any time. He dealt with an injury in camp that slowed him down, but I don't know if he's in a major part of the Cowboys' plans going forward. Rashard Smith, for a 7th-round rookie, I think was fine. Chiefs' top 2 backs, Pacheco and Hunt, are free agents. They're expected to bring somebody in. We'll see what that ends up being. Again, I'm fine taking a few shots at Rashard Smith. And kind of the same for Devin Neal. Saints backfield, I think, is really up in the air. Even if they do lean into Kamara as the 1A, he's going to need a 1B. Could be Neal. There are a few other options there. But Neal did okay in his limited work. Ollie Gordon, it's a little different here. He's competing for the number 2 role. He looked good at times in this role, but we know a chain is the clear number 1. So it's a little different there. So we have other situations like Jordan James as a backup to McCaffrey, I think is fine. 20th round click, but other ones like DJ Giddens, etc. I'm not really. Taj Brooks, LaQuint Allen. Again, a lot will depend on how free agency looks. If they clearly get the number 2 role, they're worth taking 19th, 20th round shots on. If not, I don't think we need to go down that road. So that's running back. Let me hit up chat again, and then we'll move on to the next couple positions and get through these quick. Pretty low expectations for Sanders, but I also think he's a guy this year. And I generally have low expectations also, but if we know he's starting a whole year, he's worth drafting at pick 200. Yeah, agree with this. I feel like Sanders' biggest upside next year would be running, getting the Ravens run heavy offense lines in their building will be either thing that makes Sanders good or expose the skill set. No, look, I do think Monken. It's also tough because, of course, Stefanski has the aura of being this offensive guru. And it just wasn't a great look. But Monken has that as well. We'll see if the switch matters. To me, a lot depends on what kind of O-line they can put in front of them and what kind of weapons they can have. Field Barkley is too low. Saquon, yeah, no, I'm with you there. Just give me the one-eyed Pirates. Yeah, I agree with that. We got Steam WC checking in. Low, appreciate you jumping in. Skattebo ADP is 2 rounds too high to me. Can't pick him just yet. That's kind of how I feel. I have him ranked like 60. I think the problem is running back just falls off a cliff. We're drafting more early now, which makes sense. They're scoring more points. They're actually been more consistent than receivers. More and more teams are spreading out their receiver production. There's less like true alpha ones and top end twos. So we're just pushing these running backs up because there's a certainty, but it does start to feel, not great. We got Greg checking in. If it means anything, Skattebo is very much out on a golf course as we speak. Well, that's good. Good shout there. Seems pretty fired up. Like looks a little atrophied maybe. Matt Nagy is the Giants OC. Yeah, not my favorite kicks. Yeah, Marks, I will take some at that price. I worry there's a lot of paths where, right now we're thinking, oh, there's a real value there. And next thing you know, they add a couple guys. I mean, a perfect example is that's around the range we were taking Brian Robinson last year. And Washington didn't even add a lot, but they just didn't feel confident in him. I know it's a little different second year guy versus fourth year player like Robinson, but those before free agency, I mean, Washington doesn't even need to sign Breece Hall to make JCM bad at that price. They could sign Rashard White and it makes JCM bad at that price. And there's a lot of guys above that. Like, if they sign Rico Dowdle, J.K. Dobbins, are we still feeling as good? Not sure. JCM is fine, but we're drafting him as committee guy at that price. We are, but I think we're still drafting him with the potential to be the top of the committee. I worry he's the bottom of the committee. Like his inability to get on the field in passing snaps, like Jeremy McNichols is playing over him. And then Chris Rodriguez, the team felt had more consistency. He was the home run hitter. We saw that Christmas Day. He had the big long run against the Cowboys. A lot of people had long runs against the Cowboys. But it's still Chris Rodriguez who they felt better on goal-to-go situations more. He also, JCM had a 2-touchdown game against the Giants. Again, weak ass defense. But Rodriguez, I believe, was sick that day. So JCM had quite the run out work his way. Hopefully better O-line can be designed around some passes to Marks. Yeah, that was the weirdest thing is that was his skill set, and they just never used him as a viable pass catcher. He does have some spike week ability if he is going to be at least getting some 10 carry games. I just worry he could find his way not always active on game days. That's the kind of weird projection that he could have. So let's look quickly at receivers before we get into a draft. Receivers and tight ends. This is another intriguing position, I'll say. First up, Tedero McMillan, ADP 32. He had a good rookie year. We do need to just see more out of Bryce Young. 122 targets, 70 catches, over 1,000 yards, 7 touchdowns. A lot was left out on the field, though. Some errant throws, drops. So there's the upside for much more, even at similar target range, but love to see his targets be more in the 140, 150 range. Even AJ Brown, who by no means had we're calling this a down year for AJ Brown. He had essentially the same numbers. So we want to see McMillan just have a bigger year. Higgins, down year, though, much better touchdown upside and missed time. Olave, just these are the targets we want to see for T-Mac. And so hopefully that's what we can get. And I think that's what we're investing in this year. I'm okay with it, just because this range of receivers, I like McConkey the best in this range, but there's some question marks below. Next rookie, well, two together, or second year guys, sorry. Luther Burden, Mecca Mbuka. Luther Burden, his price has gone up, really closed out the season well. I think DJ Moore ends up getting traded. I think Burden and Odunze become the 1A and 1B of this team. And honestly, I think probably both can be really good receivers. But Burden, the fact that this offense prioritized him, the system, Ben Johnson seems to really like him, and he'll find creative ways to use him. Feel good about that. Luka's a little tougher. Good rookie year, ended quietly, and some of that was Chris Godwin got healthy, Mike Evans got healthy, McMillan got healthy. Still, very good year for Mbuka. I think he's definitely going to be above McMillan. Is Evans back or not? I think that's the real question. If Evans is back, this price feels a little weak for Mbuka. If Evans isn't back, this price is great for Mbuka. And then where's Mbuka on the pecking order between him and Godwin? I think really is what it comes down to. Next up, we have who's next? I feel like I missed somebody, but I don't think I did, which tells you what the state of the rookie class last year was. Matthew Golden. Yeah, here we go. So Romeo Doubs is a free agent, but Watson and Reed are back. Tucker's back. I think he's the number 3 in this team. The 0 touchdowns, that's troubling, but hopefully his targets next year are more like 90 to 100. And we know some big playability. Absolutely like him in love stacks. We'll see, what, camp reports are and everything, but for where he's going down the 120s, I think it's okay. Jaden Higgins, another second-year guy, I like a little bit more. I think he's much clearer than number 2. Granted, the offense probably isn't as good, but I feel better about him as number 2. And he did just produce more, even though it was a very quiet start. 525 yards, 6 touchdowns, 68 targets. Obviously want to see that more, over 100. But I do think Higgins showed a little bit of something. The next guy is unfortunately a guy I love in real life, but don't know what to make of him fantasy-wise, and it's Travis Hunter. He looked so poised to break out after the bye week, gets injured in practice, doesn't play another down. And now the reports are he's playing more defense because they go out and get Jacoby Myers, Parker Washington emerges, and they still Brian Thomas Jr. The crazy thing is Travis Hunter legitimately is probably the most talented receiver on that team. PTJ's upside is pretty up there as well, but I think Hunter's the most talented receiver, and he might get the least amount of snaps. So that's tough ADP to pay him at. When he falls, I have some interest, but I just don't personally love the ADP. Next is Pat Bryant. For a third-round rookie, nice, solid year. Banged up, missed some time, some concussion issues, but definitely played better than expected. Question is, where is he on the pecking order? We know where Courtland Sutton is as 1, but then you have Franklin, you have Mims. Right now it seems like Pat Bryant, and that's where he's going, is in between them, but I could easily see him being 4th next year. So that's a bit troubling. I'll go through the rest really quick. Kamari Dike and Elikayo Manor, you get about 20 picks later. Right now, they're the 1 and 2 for Tennessee. I do expect Tennessee to bring in at least one veteran or a top rookie. So probably quickly become the 2 and 3. DK I like better, and that the ADP reflects it. He's also the return man and can get you a few points there with a touchdown or 2. He's just an electric playmaker, and I could see him being a focal point in Brian Dable's offense. But Iron Manor, I think, is fine for his price as well. Another second-year guy, Tesla, had a lot of touchdowns as a rookie, very limited snaps, but a ton of touchdowns. What was it? 6 touchdowns and only 27 targets. Absolutely wild. I do think he takes over as the number 3 over Khalif Raymond this year. So I expect better things. One of the better prices, I think, is right here, Trey Harris. Keenan Allen's free agent. I think Harris, he was playing a lot of snaps, particularly in running downs, but I think he just continues to expand his role, and he can be really nice in Mike McDaniel's offense. Torrey Horton got injured down the stretch, flashed 5 touchdowns and 22 targets. I think Shaheed moves on, so there is going to be opportunity for him. Kyle Williams, this is the question. I think they like him a little bit, but is there opportunity with Kayshon Boutte and Mac Allen still back both next year, and Diggs, of course, there? There's a chance, but he does have to probably get over Kayshon Boutte to be really fantasy relevant. And Jalen Noel, Jack Besh, I think taking some late round shots. Besh probably has a better chance to start. Not going to go overboard in these guys. Same with Isaiah Bond. 20th round pick has a chance to start. That's fine, but definitely don't want to be overboard. So I'll end it there. There's other guys, Tez Johnson, Dante Thornton, I'm not really interested in. And then finally, the tight end position. This was a strong position last year, and we see it pay off in these ADPs right in a row here. Colson Loveland, Tyler Warren, Harold Bannon. Of these three, I love Warren the best. I think Darren James plays the most of the year. We know Warren fits really well in the offense. 817 yards, 4 touchdowns, plus another rushing touchdown. That will always be on the table. I think the 4 touchdowns were light for him last year. I think he easily could be a 10-touchdown guy. Loveland came on strong down the stretch and in the playoffs. A lot of upside, but we're paying 2 rounds above for Loveland over Warren. Not sure I love that. And then Fannin, we're getting less than a round discount for Harold Fannin. Yes, Njoku's likely to move on. Yes, Fannin was very good last year, but new coaching staff, not huge worry there, but just overall structurally, the Browns are not a great team to invest in my book, at high prices. You get a Isaiah Bond late or Shador late. Right now we have 2 Browns in the top 75 picks, Judkins and Fannin, and that doesn't feel great. Probably one of those is wrong. Next up is Gadsden. This guy came out of nowhere. Very nice here. 664 yards, 3 touchdowns, only 69 targets. Could easily see those rise to about 80 to 100. So a lot of upside there, I feel like. And then we get into later guys who didn't get much of a chance last year. Terrence Ferguson, Mason Taylor, Gunnar Helm. Later, you could take a shot on like an Elijah Arroyo, though I'm really not interested there. I think Mason Taylor, again, he was the number 2 receiver on the team, found that out on the Correct Iowa stream last night. Not great last year, but ideally the Jets are better this year, but that's not a team I want to invest a ton in, so I won't be overboard on him. Ferguson, I think Higbee moves on. I see expanded potential role there. That price I think is fine. Gunnar Helm's the one that's most intriguing. I think Chig Okonkwo moves on, and Helm, 44 catches, 357, 2 touchdowns as a 18th round tight end. I think you could do a lot worse. So feel good about that. All right, we will jump into a draft, and then I will hit up chat. But just wanted to go over that at the start. We'll try and get 2 drafts in. Let's start with a big board. And I will count it down 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, enter. Let me catch up in chat. Buka seems like he would drop more and more during the offseason as rookies and played in new places. Yeah. I think once Mike Evans, if Mike Evans resigns that, and that is my expectation. Last night I said it was like 60-70%. I think he resigns. If that happens, I think we will see it in Buka drop. So I haven't really taken him right now because I'm kind of expecting him to drop just for a multitude of reasons. Dad liking the Trey Harris call out. Definitely one of my later round favorites. I think I prefer the year 2 tight ends to the rookies past the DKDB. So it's been tough for me to pick a rookie when a guy with a defined role. Yeah, 100% agree. And I talked about them last time, PPR Tyler. Like, I like Stowers, I like Claire, I like Trigg, but I know I feel much better about Gunnar Helm's role. I feel much better even about Terrence Ferguson's role than those guys. So let's see. Peanut Punch is in here at the 5 spot. We got Losimo at the 9. I'm at the 11th. Appreciate you guys for joining me. Sorry if anyone else tried to get in and wasn't able to get in. So yeah, that's why until I see landing spots, just because we have 20 rounds, I'll take a few shots on those other late round rookies. But I don't want to be my pre-draft. I'm more than 4% on any of those guys not named Sadiq. I don't think I'm going to be happy. And ideally, probably more like 2%. Yeah. And here's the thing, like Arroyo, we thought he had one of the perfect landing spots last year because they moved on from Fant. Barner looked like just a blocking tight end. I kind of thought, and I knew Barner. I remember in Michigan, he would at times keep Loveland off the field in one tight end sets if they wanted to show a running look. But I thought he was going to be, just like a blocking tight end. And, I just was shocked with how much he got utilized. And, he definitely is more than just a blocking tight end. So you do just worry about that where, even some places that look like they might be okay, they might, this sounds crazy, but, the Eagles might feel better with Calcaterra than a rookie. A couple years ago when the Cowboys took Luke Schoonmaker, and granted he ended up with an injury and missed most of camp or a good chunk of camp, I thought, they just have Jake Ferguson there. Like, Jake Ferguson is okay, but he's nothing special. Like, they moved on from Schultz, and I thought there was a real chance Luke Schoonmaker, a second-round pick, was going to get that role. Ferguson just outplayed him. So Cook goes. I'll take a chain. I don't love it. Just it's offense. I do worry he takes a big hit, but we just know his skill set and upside is talented enough. Hampton goes, the Genty Hampton combo. I like that. I'm going to take Justin Jefferson here. Don't have him yet. But I do feel a lot more confident now that the GM's gone, and I think he was the biggest pusher of JJ McCarthy. Steve, out of curiosity, do you have a strong preference for your Rams tight end, or is it just mix and match for you? Mix and match. I probably want to be about even on those two. I'm very much assuming Higbee's moving on. Davis Allen, I think, will still be there, but not a major threat. I think both can end up being kind of fantasy relevant next year, particularly if they don't add any third receiver weapon. We saw them try and give Tutu Atwell $10 million this year and just kind of waste it. So I kind of don't think they'll do that. They'll probably draft, a guy or two day 3, kind of like Mumfield last year. Bring back Whittington, have Whittington, etc. So that's kind of my expectation for their receiver room. So I think both tight ends will be on the field a lot. I think Parkinson has better touchdown upside. Stafford clearly likes him in the red zone quite a bit. but I do think Ferguson is a fun guy. FK editor trying to guess no, he's going to be big in their home. Trigg needs to go round 3 to KC and let Kelsey work. Yeah, and that's the thing. And the problem with that is, Trigg, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, Trigg could be like a tight end. Stowers, any of these guys could be a tight end we're absolutely in love with, in the 120s, 130s. But right now, even if Kelsey's gone and Trigg goes to KC, I would not expect him to be above Noah Gray. Noah Gray, they gave like $7 million a year to. Now, if Kelsey's back, maybe they move on from Gray. But if Kelsey's gone, I think Noah Gray is going to take over that role, at least for this year. I agree with this. I don't think people are recognizing that Chig is most likely gone. I mean, I would be shocked if they bring him back. We've seen Monken actually work with 2 tight ends, not just with the Ravens, but as obviously at Georgia, also Bowers and Darnell Washington. So definitely could be. I believe they'll bring in another tight end, but I love Helmet his price. Because, I think was already kind of outplaying Chig, and I think he's going 4 rounds too late, 3 rounds too late for sure. Me and FK about to have 20% Cam Ward with our Manor and Helm late stacks. I would mix in DK in that as well. Let's see. Let's say I just talked about him. Let's go get some T-Mac. And don't drop the ball. I mean, this was a concern for him coming out. Drops were a factor last year. He would have had 10 touchdowns, over 10 touchdowns, not for drops. Take ETN. AJ Brown's intriguing as well, but take ETN. Yeah, I take some Chig, but here the tough thing is some of these guys, like a Chig and a Likely, since they're not going to fit every system, and some teams might view them kind of like Denver viewed Evan Ingram last year. Like, yes, he's our pass-catching tight end, but that only means he's going to max at 400 yards, just not, he's not going to have a significant enough role to be fantasy relevant. So I worry about that, if Chig goes somewhere and that happens, like you could, or he could go to somewhere that has a similar decent tight end and they both kind of share the role. Likely is kind of in the same boat. Like, honestly, like Cade Otton is going to be on the field more, whether it's back with Tampa or somewhere else. I think Cade Otton will see more snaps. And, sometimes the extra snaps can just lead to extra targets and catches. And guys like Chig and Likely are good for what they do, but you need the right system to maximize the most out of it. Currently have a third tight end around T-Ferg. I mean, I've definitely been shopping in the discount Iowa tight ends this year. I'm taking a lot of late 3 tight end builds. So I will say, like, if I need more certainty, I feel more safety in Parkinson than Ferg. I think he's a better floor play. Ferguson has the better ceiling, is kind of the way I'm playing it. Well, this should be a good show then. Looking forward to it. coming up in 3. May fallen because I have him a little ahead of ADP. I'll probably bump him down slightly, but I mean, May has a lot more untapped rushing upside that he hasn't utilized so far. So that's fun to project. I think here, though, I'm going to go Sutton. I'll take May. So I think, I think Seattle when Kubiak leaves, and who's the other one? Is it Jets? Still need to figure out their play caller, their offense coordinator. I think those are the last 2 teams now that the Giants got their guy. Because, you know, I don't know if it's 100% official that Kubiak's going to place it, but I think everyone expects that. And then, you know, LaFleur said he would call plays for the Cardinals. Just saw Monken's going to call play for the Browns. I think that was expected. And he did say, you know, quarterback is still open. I think Shador wins it, but it's at least interesting that he's saying it's still open. Yeah, I saw, who did the Jets? Frank Reich. It's like, oh boy, it's not feeling great for the Jets right now. Unless they get a viable quarterback, I'm going to have to be way under, I think, Garrett Wilson. Feels nice that May's at a draftable price now. Yeah. No, I mean, having him, you know, be much closer to that, you know, Lamar and you know, like we just saw, you know, let's go. That's high for Stafford. He's been going sliding. So yeah, it just feels much better. Like May's being pretty accurately priced now. It's hoping for the digs, but I get why Losmo took him. Might get a second quarterback here, just because he's not a good stack partner with Justin Jefferson. I don't think Bo Nix comes back to me. Bryce Young later. Like I said, I didn't love Jackson Dart's ADP. Getting him, you know, a few spots past, I think is fair, but actually I'm going to take Pearsall first because that's not feeling great right now. If I don't get Dart, Lawrence is fine. Others in this range. I think there will be news. I make this pick and then so Lawrence goes, or I'm sorry, Dart goes. I would take Lawrence. I have ETN. You can sometimes, you know, kind of backstack them. So for one, the combine, right? That's going to change ADPs. We saw guys like Tootin just absolutely fly up, and then 2 years ago, Xavier Worthy, etc. So we see combine impact rookies for sure. I do think we are going to start to get some news that typically comes out from around the combine as well. News of like some retirements. Yes, like by next week at this time, I'm sure we're going to know every offense coordinator, all the coaches. But I think we could start to get some retirements. I mean, some might be till later. But when we hear that Stafford's 100% back, that might change his ADP. Kelsey's probably the biggest one, and Aaron Rodgers are like the two biggest ones. If Aaron Rodgers says, I'm back, and most people would start projecting him to the Steelers, I think his ADP is going to jump a couple rounds. Kelsey would jump a couple rounds. Like we could hear that Mike Evans is firmly back. Like just knowing that should probably have him jump up a little bit. Few other guys. But then, we could start to see some guys re-sign early. A lot of times they wait until right before free agency, but others could happen a little earlier. Nagy signing makes me scared of Giants, if that counts. Yeah. In our Discord, I did I think JT asked, and I said, not great, Bob. Just Skattebo, I think I'm less worried about. I'm more worried for, honestly, Malik Neighbors. Like the passing game has just felt blah, as you all know. The last couple of years for the Chiefs, it's just been underwhelming. And you can say, oh, Kelsey's getting older, and they don't have the same weapons, but it just hasn't felt good. So I think Neighbors is the one I'm most worried about for it, and a little dart, less so Skattebo. But yeah, you agree with my thought that if Gainwell resigns, it means Rodgers. I don't necessarily think that, because I think they really liked Gainwell, and I get it's a new staff, but I think they were very impressed with Gainwell. So, but I do think, they're, how do I put it? I think if we start hearing a couple moves, that could change things. I mean, I saw the Steelers added Frank Cinetti Jr., Kirk Cinetti's brother, to the staff. I don't think they defined the role yet, but he was a quarterback coach for Aaron Rodgers for a couple years under McCarthy. So let me make my pick here. I'll go a little bully quarterback. I don't do this too much, but a third top end quarterback. I like Bo Nix. I do have a stack partner. So a bit more unique for me. I'll be interested to see, but I think that helps, makes it more likely Rodgers is back if we start seeing MVS is back and Gainwell's back and that kind of stuff. It does sound like Steelers won't let Rodgers do what he did last year, like go to July. And I understand Rodgers had stuff going on last year, so they were well aware of that. But that timeline's not going to happen again. We'll go DJ Moore. I'm going to wait till free agency, except for a few drafts I would do this weekend, only because my bonus funds run out. There you go. That's smart. And then do a few little boards. Yeah. I'll probably do another draft after this. I might do a little board. I've only done 3 so far, so still plenty more. Nagy over Cliff. Ravens were right on Harbaugh. I don't know. I think it's tough to judge Nagy because Chicago was such a mess. Cliff, they didn't win, obviously, the Super Bowl or anything, but they were relatively competitive team when Kyler was healthy, and Cliff got the best out of Kyler. They made the playoffs. There's some positives there. So, and then we saw last year with Cliff. This past year, it was just, what could Cliff do? Washington, Daniels gets hurt 3 different times. Even Mariota gets hurt. They trade away Brian Robinson. Eckler gets hurt. Terry misses most of the year. Ertz misses the end of the year. Their other receivers, Luke McCaffrey gets hurt. It was just bad. I mean, they had to pull Traylon Burks off the street. It was not a pretty look. And still, despite all of that, Washington's offense was not terrible. It was not 32nd in the league. They finished 22nd in points and 22nd in yards. That's essentially the same as the Eagles. I think the Eagles were 19th and 24th. And the Eagles had Goddard miss a game. I think Devonta Smith missed a game. They had a few O-line injuries, but the Eagles were entirely healthy with their skill guys and essentially had the same offensive production. And their skill guys are way better than Washington's. So I honestly think Cliff kind of made the most out of what he had last year. Just traded Jaren Jackson. Interesting. We got Schneid in here. What's up, Steve? Hope you're doing well, Schneid. Yeah, basketball player. I know. I think the trade deadline's next week. If I'm not mistaken. The big news is, does Giannis get traded? So we'll just keep going by ADP here. We'll take a Concepcion shot. Running back's going to be thinner than I like, but that's how we'll play this draft. Quite a lot of players and picks moved in that deal. Oh, really? I'll have to see what the deal looks like. And on the clock, should probably pay attention to that. We will go J.K. Dobbins. I think he lands somewhere. Might be back in Denver, which would be nice with my Bo Nix and Sutton team. Catch up on chat. Only thoughts on this right now on Nagy to the Giants. Wait, did Kingsbury sign with the Jets, or you're projecting that? I've been on stream for an hour, so. Okay. Let me know if something's broke on that. Kyler going there would make sense if that were to happen. Interesting. I'll definitely have to look at that. So Cody, is Nagy good or bad for the Giants? Yeah, this is kind of where I'm at, Schneid. I don't know if you'll agree. I'm less worried about Skattebo, really worried for Neighbors. I just not loving it. Not loving it at all for Neighbors. Nagy really hasn't accomplished much or really anything in the NFL. Yeah, that is the problem. As I said earlier, to me, it's not a good sign when Andy Reid's pumping him up, which you want him to do. If he's been a good loyal, coach for you, you want to pump him up. But he's hire everyone, hire Matt Nagy. Oh yeah, we are not. We don't want him. Not a great look. At least I didn't agree with the Commanders moving on from Kingsbury, but at least they were straightforward about it. They were we're moving on. Some would call that the American dream. This is unfortunately right as well. Yeah, that wasn't great either. Vikings did end up with a good defense. I know there were some times they disappeared. Brian Flores is a very good coordinator. We know that for a fact. And that Vikings defense was able to shut down we saw that with the Lions, where they I mean, Jordan Addison end around run basically wins the game for him because Lions had 8 turnovers, 7 turnovers that game, whatever it was. Yeah, it seems like I just don't know if I've heard the Jets talk to Cliff. So I wonder if Cliff takes a year off again. We'll add Katron Allen, need running backs. There aren't many OC jobs, many Cliff Jets. Yeah, I mean, I think I'd love to see Kyler go with Cliff again. I think Kyler just needs a coach who knows how to utilize him, and that is 100% Cliff. Put AJ Barner up. And Jets have to do something. I mean, that team is just so bad. Yeah, that's kind of just go back to Thailand, Jonah Beach. He could. I think he probably does. My guess is he'll take almost like an emeritus position on some well-coached team and be like, oh yeah, he's like, just the assistant, a head coach or something for a year. Yeah, no, absolutely. Cliff goes to Seattle to take over for the OC leaving. That would be the open job. In some ways it's good because Cliff likes to feature one wide receiver. We saw that last year with Terry McLaurin. So JSN, I think, would be okay, though he usually locks his receiver to one side, which is less than ideal. I wouldn't hate it for Seattle. I do wonder what Seattle's going to do. I mentioned the Greg Roman connection, given the Harbaugh connection with McDonald. I think you could see a couple of promotion options from within the quarterback's coach. It's been grinding a couple of years, could make the jump, and then Justin Uten, I don't know how to pronounce the name, of a former Denver OC. He was OC for a year, and he's been a various offensive coach for a number of years, including in the Shanahan and LaFleur trees. But yeah, Seattle will be the only other play calling offense coordinator job. Where Kyler lands, and I said it yesterday, I would not be shocked if he's back with Arizona. I think LaFleur could get there and say, hey, I can work with this. You might just prefer that to Jacoby Brissett. Got JT checking in. How's it going? Hope you're doing well. All right, sitting at 3,461. Haven't gotten any May stacks. Not too worried, honestly. Same with Lawrence. It just didn't fit. Not gonna force it. We will go another tight end. I will. With Kelsey continuing to be at this price, I will take some. That could burn me for sure if he does retire. But I am all right taking some risk. Cliff could take, that's kind of what I see. I think he could just, he could use it as, make another pick, and you know what? I'm going to just finalize tight end here. Usually I wait a little bit on it, but Barner, Kelsey likely. So 3 tight ends in a row. I think you'd have to be on a good team. Like, I don't think he's going to take like an assistant job or even like a quarterback's coach, because that's what he would be if he was just a true positional coach on like a bad team. But could he go to a good team with a good established coach? Like, maybe I don't know how close he is to Sean McVay, but maybe he calls up Sean McVay and is like, hey, you just lost your offense coordinator. He could be Sean McVay's offense coordinator for a year. I don't know if they're promoting that Nathan Schelise, who's definitely well thought of, and they very well could, or he kind of takes over like the pass game coordinator or something type thing. So I could see something like that for sure. It's 3-4-6-3. Running back, need a little help, but I kind of double anchor, then 2 mid guys. I'll take 2 late. Receiver, pretty strong. Jefferson, T-Mac, Cortland Sutton, Ricky P, DJ Moore, adding in Concepcion. And then tight end, went late, but floor guy, really potential upside ceiling guy, and then another ceiling guy. And like enough, little fall here. Unlikely. Yeah, I think that would make a lot of sense. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a couple other spots like that would fit as well. I think you'd have to have a situation where neither ego gets involved. Like if he goes to a place with a weak head coach and play caller, then like ego really becomes a factor for both him and whatever coach is there. I'll probably wait on running back. Not sure what to make about Tank Bigsby. Will Shipley's still there. AJ Dillon will, I'm sure, be gone, but I don't know what the Eagles are going to end up doing. I'll take Mims as a double stack for Knicks. And I think this team is strong enough where if Kyle Williams ends up a 0, I'm not going to be hurting, and it makes a little bit more sense in a May stack. If Kyle Williams actually hits, could be a lot of fun. So done at receiver, done at quarterback, done at tight end. I'll tack on 2 backs here. Don't usually love waiting till the last 2 rounds for running backs, but A-Chain, ETN, Dobbins feel good enough, and I do like K-Tron. I'm going to do a quick review, then jump into, I think, a little board to get a second draft in for this. And then tomorrow, I mentioned it earlier, Who Hames will be on talking rookies. We'll talking, I'm sure, everything. Do some drafts, and definitely interested to get different feedback from different people. I think the other team where Cliff could just be like another assistant would be the Chiefs. I know they obviously brought back Bieniemy as the offense coordinator, but Andy Reid still runs the show, and of course ties to Mahomes. I think that one would make some sense as well. Running back here. Losimo stealing my guys. I love Wilson there. But I will, I mentioned him earlier. I think Devin Neal could end up with a solid role. I don't mind him there. Just tack on somebody else. Finish him on the show with PPR Tyler, Kalen Black. Definitely a running back. Probably a day 3 guy, but a guy I think coaches are going to end up loving. So I'll take a few shots on him. So my team real quick, look at the other teams. May, Lawrence, Nix, Etienne, Dobbins, Keytron Allen, Devin Neal, Kalen Black. Both in at running back I typically like, but definitely paths where it works. Justin Jefferson, feeling better about him with the hope that it's either going to be J.J. McCarthy earning it or a true vet. T-Mac, looking forward to a sophomore bump. Cortland Sutton, Ricky P., DJ Moore, Casey Concepcion, Marvin Mims Jr., Kyle Williams. I think pretty strong, with the first 5 guys. And then Concepcion, I think, is a nice value considering where his draft stock currently looks. Mims and Williams parts of stacks as well. And then 3 tight ends, AJ Barner, Travis Kelce, Isaiah Likely. Definitely still the Kelce retirement risk, but he's back. That tight end room ends up being really strong. So let's start with Peanut Punch, and let me know if I missed you. Right now, I would just look at Peanut Punch's team and Losimo, I believe. So let me know if there's anyone else in chat. We'll happily review your team. Let me actually go to Peanut Punch's team. That would help. 273. Oh, yeah, never mind. It's so stupid. Okay, now the draft is done. I can do this. 273, Lamar, Jordan Love, Jacobs, Swift, Monangai, so double tapping, getting all the Bears for any situation. Not a bad strategy. They both had a game where they had over 100 yards. Emma Johnson, Braylon Allen, Caleb Johnson, Najee Harris. Yeah, it's like we have Jacobs plus the Bears. There will be weeks where both are capable of counting, but if not, you should almost guaranteed to have a Bear with a 10+ score every week. Emma Johnson, fun rookie. Braylon Allen, Caleb Johnson, both guys who could emerge in bigger roles this year, and then Najee could be a nice late round free agent pickup for someone. JSN, Pickens, hard to argue against those two. Christian Watson, DK Metcalf, Chris Godwin, Elijah Surratt, Jalen Noel, and then the Keenan Allen click. If he doesn't retire, that is a fantastic pick. That was another one talking about guys who could retire. So I like taking some shots. And, if he does retire, you have a receiver core led by Jason, George Pickens, Christian Watson, DK Metcalf, Chris Godwin. That feels good. Andrews is one of my favorite value picks. ADP 151, he keeps sliding. Absolutely unreal to me. But likely moving on, Monken coming in, or not Monken coming in, but Declan, what's his name? The Bears, and previously the lines, we know they utilize tight ends. I know Monken's leaving, who did utilize tight ends as well, but they gave Andrews big money for a reason. Lamar seems to like him. If Lamar's healthy, I think Andrews has a much better year. And that's what you're betting on here with Lamar. So in the stack, it's even better. Hunter Henry, and then plenty of places, including Atlanta, where Njoku ends up as a nice pick. Losimo 3863, so kind of unique build there. Daniels, Goff, Mendoza, 3 starting quarterbacks, kind of 3 different pockets. Weighted on, this is 0 RB build, but Javonte is honestly a nice anchor to that. It's not a true anchor build, but Javonte is a nice first RB option. Coleman, Spears, Mason, Bigsby, Claiborne, Wilson, Pacheco. So just throwing darts here later. Bigsby is, as we saw when Saquon left a game early, did a blowout or resting him. Bigsby had some nice work, but absolutely a handcuff pick. But that's fine. You'll mainly have to get your second back out of Coleman, Spears, Mason probably, but taking some shots here. I mean, Wilson, if Jacobs misses time, we know he's good. We'll see where Pacheco lands. We'll see where Claiborne lands. Throwing volume at it. You took 5 receivers in the top 81 picks, added Debo late, which is, I think, one of the better value picks. Monroe, London, Higgins, Garrett Wilson, Diggs. Yeah, ideally you're getting, and Debo, you're getting not just your 3 receivers, but most weeks you're probably going to need your flex to come from the position. But it can. I mean, that's a, one, the best 2 in the league, him or Devontae Adams, a one or 2. So really strong receiver room. Laporta, Schultz, Hawkinson. It sounds like Hawkinson's getting cut, so don't know where he's landing yet. But taking him in the 180s feels like some value for a guy who was top 5, top tight end just a few years ago. And then of course Laporta and Schultz. So yeah, strong tight end room. Team 7 with the solo quarterback. Oh, didn't notice that. One 5-11-3 Enra. I mean, Joe Burrow is a good elite quarterback to have, but you're missing the bye week, and he better stay healthy. Got good value on him, I'll say that. Love Bucky Hendo. I think the other problem with it is the 11 receivers. Like, you're just kind of conceding, points here, because there's some risky receivers in the mix, but a lot of these could just end up not ever hitting your lineup. I truly don't believe in doing one quarterback. Definitely not until we know the bye, because here's the other thing. This looks so much worse. It's bad enough knowing you're getting 0 quarterback, but what if Joe Burrow has the bye week with 6 teams? The Bengals do. And, Lamb and Burrow had the same bye last year. Not saying it's happening again, but like now you took 11 receivers, but 4 of your top 8 are out, and you're just taking zeros or risking stuff. So I don't believe in one quarterback. That is definitely not the way I approach it. I think the Chiefs would be a bad option due to possible ego conflict, like you said. Yeah, I do get that, but I think Andy Reid's the type of guy who could do it, and then the Mahomes factor. I think Mahomes likes both Cliff and Bieniemy, so it's my 2 dads. I guess, but I just think you'd need that kind of situation. I don't really see what the Steelers with Mike McCarthy, a guy who's been around. I think there could just be some less ego. But agreed, there aren't a lot of teams that would fit. Yeah, Declan Doyle, that was the Ravens guy. Yes, Chiefs, it's McVay's. Yeah. I mean, obviously the offense coordinator has a lot of input, but I think Reid would have 2 guys with a lot of input. And I could see Bieniemy. I think Bieniemy kind of knows at this point, look, my best work is with the Chiefs. I've tried other things, tried in Washington, tried other places. I'm probably never getting a head coaching job. Why not be a top end offense coordinator? Kind of would be my guess how he sees it. All right, let's jump into a little board draft. $3 little board. We're now at almost 18% fill. One thing, I think it was FK, you mentioned not drafting in February. The little board is going to fill at some time in February, I think. It filled quicker. It was the same size last year, and it filled fairly early. And I know it was 50 max. but I've been impressed with how quickly it's filling. So it could fill, I'll say, by week 1 of March. So we'll see. We'll definitely keep track of that, but just keep in mind that. And War Room is another one that can fill by the end of February. So just keep an eye out for those. All right. I will enter in 10 seconds. Enter in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I don't love that the little board's only 2 or 12 to start, but other than that, you get a chance for 100K. Yeah, 20 max, not 50 this year. That I thought that would slow down more, but 18% in a little over a week. It's a pretty good start, and you have plenty of people who haven't even thought about drafting yet. So I will still imagine it fills relatively quickly. Enemy needs to make up for making James Vance deal with Nagy is all I know. Done 10 plus, which is where I think the math breaks down if you look into it. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure. Like, this is only my 4th one. I think I did my first 2 before I even realized it was only a 20 max versus 50 max. So, that's why I slowed down on it. I don't think I've done a little board in the last 5 days, 6 days. So I'm sure there's a lot. I'm sure there's people who've maxed it, but I still think 18% before the true end of the season. And to be fair, like any Seattle or Patriots player we take, there is a risk they still get injured and miss, knock on wood. But we just saw this with Charbonnet. Like, there's a risk for taking these guys. So I do expect more people to push. And then also, just streamers and things like that. Like, just when we're not talking about the Super Bowl anymore, I think more and more people will be pushing it, getting back into the streets. So I do think the fill rate will, and yes, people are going to hit that max, but it seems like it's on a pretty good path. Okay, waiting on 3 for the little board. When I saw solo QB, I assumed it was auto-drafted. Auto-win is particularly awful this season. Yeah, I'm assuming it was because it wasn't even it was CD Lamb. It's not like they had Chase Higgins or anything. So I'm sure it was auto, but it's just not. Yeah, they get Brandon Ayuk, they get Adani, but it's I think auto-win is always kind of tough. Particularly a whole draft. If you okay, I'm gonna put it on the pilot after 12 rounds or something like that. Sure, whatever. Or you miss a couple of picks because your internet goes out or whatever. Not the end of the world, but a whole draft, because there's so many, particularly right now, there's so many guys who are risky. I don't want to take Kelsey on a team with a bunch of rookie tight ends because I could end up with a 0 tight end. I don't want to take Aaron Rodgers and Kirk Cousins on the same team, or multiple of these quarterbacks who we don't know the landing spots of. So, and same at other positions. It just doesn't. Like we've talked about, ADPs are just not perfect right now. Not that they're ever perfect, but they're very imperfect at the moment. And so if you're autoing off either your ranks or ADPs, it's just not going to turn out well. So yeah, solo Ty Simpson and solo 9 are definitely worse options. That's what I'm thinking, Paul. Hopefully it's not the all the people who are probably running some sort of script to just fill everything, and they're using, only Seahawks and Patriots players. Okay, wait on one more. We'll get this filled. Like we saw last year with the Super Bowl. That was frustrating. I probably won't be drafting much on this weekend. But yeah, hopefully they fix that issue. 9 stands for the amount of games he's going to start over his career. Is that how many he has now? Because that might be it then. Yeah, let's see. How many starts does JJ have? Oh, he had 10 starts, so he's already above that. Oof. Looking at these numbers, it's not pretty. Come on, wait on one more. Let me refresh. Looks like somebody jumped in. Okay, we got Green Bean in here in the 3 spot. We got Legion in the 6 spot. Losimo in the 8. Bad on real time 9. Ladies first. He was in draft last night. Not sure if that's anyone in chat. Jeff 9797. I don't think that's Jeff Cooley. If anyone else is in here, please let me know. Love to say hi. And I'll be happy to read your team off at the end. Oh, that is. There we go. Pick 11. I wasn't sure. I couldn't remember your name. So Jeff Cooley's in here as well. And 2 spots. Basically, it's down to these 3 players for me at the 2. Or, I do want to end up being overweight on JT, but you can get him so much here in the back half. I probably rarely will take him at 2. You know what? I'm going to take Chase. I keep going back and forth between Puka and JSN here. Then I think there's a little tier break. James Cook, Amon-Ra, CMC. That's kind of how I see it. Guess I'm allergic to an earlier round pick. Sorry about that. What are your Amon-Ra versus Lamb thoughts? I can't take Lamb, and he's fallen a little bit because I think he started ADP 5 or 6. So I haven't met the turn. I think that's kind of where he should go. I definitely have Amon-Ra firmly ahead of him. It's just, I know, he still had some good games last year and still a fine year. I mean, look, he missed significant time, had a better year than Justin Jefferson, more touchdowns, same number of yards, less targets, and still missed time. Quarterback play matters. But I do think Pickens is back. I think Pickens and him are kind of, I think the Bengals, Rams, and now Cowboys have true 1As, 1Bs. And this might be the closest of the 3. It really might. So, yeah, I'm going to be more Lamb in the back half of the first round. Amon-Ra, middle first round. Yeah, and this is just it. I mean, you're a Bengals fan, or wait, are you? I know you're Bayou Bengals fan. Like Higgins can be a great pick. Like he's shown he can be a top 12 receiver, but he's never going to be the one on the Bengals. Like as long as Chase is out there, Higgins is still the number 2. It's arguably the best number 2 in the league. Adams showed at times he could outplay Puka, and I think had Adams not gotten hurt at the end, that could have continued, or at least kept it very close, much closer. The Cowboy thing, I truly think is a coin flip. Like each week it could be, this is the Lamb week, this is the Pickens week. Great for best ball, but you just want to get them at the right price to do that. As we saw, like Lamb's first week back against Washington, middle of the year, he had a big game. Pickens still had a fine game, but then there were other games after that where Pickens started just crushing again. So it wasn't just when Lamb was out that Pickens dominated. Better first round pick, yeah. Drafted a bigger board team last year in Super Bowl Sunday, named it Gotta Be Tossed because I drafted Super Bowl only another. Oh my God. It wasn't even Toss? Oh my Lord. I don't know. I remember you talking about this before. That is so wild. Yeah, 4 to 11. Oh my God. That's rough. I think all those teams need, because people were clearly, having some sort of script. And I don't mind people drafting off. If people want to auto in my drafts, I'm fine with that. That's on them. But it just felt like they had some script where it would be like, enter every tournament and use these ranks. And just for some reason it worked, even though those ranks shouldn't be applicable to, this slate for, say, the Super Bowl. Chase Henry. Let's go for it. It's much easier to get Burrow. Later now. Saints fan. Okay. Yeah, that's right. Yep. That's right. Sorry about that. Bio Bengal Fantasy Network. I had one where Rodgers was 103, didn't get tossed. Jeez. I know Meg said, I think it was her first big board. Somebody took Josh Allen in the first and then Pat Freiermuth in the second. And that did get tossed. But it's I don't know. I don't know why. And I don't think that was based on, I think that was somebody truly screwing around. It's weird, some things they get through. And to be fair, the people who draft, the last one quarterback, 11 receivers, no, I don't think those kind of drafts should get tossed at all. We're not all perfect by Bengals. Not everyone is qualified for Bengals fandom. Yeah, Cody, definitely a Bengals fan. He wears it proudly, and they're a fun offense to root for. I just hope we get a healthy Burrow. I think fantasy football is a lot better with a healthy Burrow and healthy Bengals receivers. This week, because of the Super Bowl, and now that most of the coaches are done, definitely a slower news week. I do wonder if we'll get the Jets OC job filled this week or not. And I saw it get confirmed. LaFleur is going to call plays for the Cards. I talked about this a little in Discord. I know, he generally has not been a play caller. Just these couple of years with the Jets, and people said that didn't go great. But to his defense, that first year with the Jets, that was one of the most talentless teams you could ever find, also led by Zach Wilson, and the games with Mike White and Joe Flacco were at least league average. That was a team. Elijah Moore was a rookie. Jameson Crowder, did a couple other bad receivers I can't even remember right now. And then next year they get Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall, but Breece Hall only plays half a year, and they were a little better offensively with Garrett Wilson. But I don't hold all that against LaFleur. I think LaFleur could end up being a nice offensive mind. I mean, he's got a brother who's pretty damn good, and he's been in the Shanahan McVay coaching tree for quite some time. So, let's go ADP. Not looking running back there. I'll take Devonta. Tupac or Biggie? I'd say I prefer Biggie, but it's close. Uh-oh. And a bad Bengals defense. Yeah, I think we're going to continue to see that. I mean, Trey Hendrickson didn't play much last year, but he's a free agent, so I expect him to be gone. Where do you think Josh Allen will be going when the big board ends? Oh, he went 101. Oh, God, why? With that draft doesn't get, thinking of drafts that could get thrown out. Actually, kind of think in this range. I don't think Allen, I think some of the other quarterbacks could move a little bit. I don't think Allen, just because he's been so consistent, they are retaining the same offense, with Joe Brady. If anything, he should get more weapons. He does have a couple offensive linemen who are free agents, so I do want to see what happens there. But I think we could see movement with, whether it's May next, Lamar gets above him. Damn, Angry Bruce taking Joe Burrow. That's very high for Burrow this year. So I'm not getting the Burrow with my double stack. Well, that's less fun. But in terms of, I think we could see some movement with these other quarterbacks, likely May and Lamar being whether who's QB2. Because most other quarterbacks are going like in the 50s and 60s and 70s, maybe Allen falls slightly, just because people don't feel the need. Like last year, you had Allen and Lamar, and then Jalen right behind him, and then Burrow. You could get the gap, but because of his receivers, he was getting pulled up. This year, you're not going to have that. Where in roughly a 15 pick range, like last year, essentially mid third round, sometimes Allen or Lamar would go top of the third, but essentially is more mid third round to the end of the fourth. You'd have 4 quarterbacks go with the board, sometimes 5 with Lamar or with Burrow. BIG, nice. That seems to improve. People hate that. Let that Bengals super stack happen. I skipped on one this morning. Yeah, I don't get it. Like last year, I think it was even more defensible. I don't know if that guy had the guy who took him had Chase Brown, but nope, nothing. Last year it was a little bit more defensible because his ADP was there. So if if his ADP is 52 and you get him at 56, you're saying, okay, well, I'm getting some value. I can backstack it slightly. There's just less. Now Gesicki goes 20th round, and Yoshivas goes late. Doesn't really have an ADP, so even less. And then it also, you could at least tell yourself from a playoff standpoint, like, it's Bengals versus Cardinals. I have the Cardinals side. I have McBride and Marvin Harrison. I'll take Burrow here, and add on Yoshua. Is that then? Sure, But at least you could tell yourself from that standpoint. Now we don't know those schedules. So just seems like less reason, particularly with how quarterbacks are being drafted. So, yeah, that's less fun. I mean, I don't mind taking Swift there. I'll take Ramondre. And DK Metcalf. So we won't end up with a lot of stacks. That's unfortunate, but it is what it is. So I'm curious what chat thinks about LaFleur calling plays for the Cards. Are you guys okay with it? Indifferent? Care more about what they do at quarterback? Let me know. Legion takes Evans. Los moves on the clock now. Goes Tiggs. Yeah. No, I think it does. And I'll be very interested to see. I think it's probably 50-50 if Kyler stays or not with LaFleur. Clearly, Kyler did not get along with Gannon and Petzing in that system. So I think he was definitely out if Gannon had stayed. But I could see LaFleur just being like, you know what? I can maybe make this work. Keep in mind, that Jets experience with LaFleur, he had Zach Wilson. So he knows that a young quarterback, the grass is not always greener with that. Could see, though, like I said, I think Jacoby Brissett would be, traded if they keep Kyler. In that case, I wouldn't be surprised if they may sign Joe Flacco as a veteran backup. Just given Kyler's injury history, he played under LaFleur for the Jets, so he could help, install some of those concepts and verbiage. So I think it sounds like Joe Flacco wants to play. I actually think he's going to have a pretty robust market of teams looking for a clear number 2 quarterback. We're going to take Patrick Mahomes here and ideally pair him with Xavier Worthy in a couple of picks. And that doesn't happen. Well, that's less fun. This is just turning out to be one hell of a draft. Let's go Denzel Boston. Oh, man. Work hot chocolate and drafting with Steve. Appreciate you, Kelly. Thank you for jumping in. Let me hit up chat. It's like lick my wounds from thinking I'm getting the easiest stack in the world. What about this? MHJ Wilson ADP. Yeah, I've said that I have not liked the fact that they're so close together, especially having McBride so high. To me, unless LaFleur does a miracle work, I don't really see the Cardinals having, essentially 3 pass catchers in the top 70-ish picks, and particularly with one of them being a first rounder. It's not like they're going, 58, 65, 70, like they're going 12 or 14, whatever McBride is, and then the next 2 bunched together. So it feels like one of those are wrong. Maybe not by much. Like I think you could have McBride be, second roundish, Marv or Wilson in the 60s, and then somebody in the 80s, 90s. But feels kind of wrong right now, particularly without knowing the quarterback. It's her Call of Duty joke, yeah. Quarterbacks matter, Steve. Bum QB, bum offense. I agree with that. I do agree with that, but I don't know if it's on Kyler. I think Kyler just did not fit that system as a robust what now. Work. Yeah, I said that. Peyton or Eli over Kyler. Wow. I took so much worthy last year. I find it hard clicking his name this year. Yeah, I was hoping whoever was in. I was hoping Sully here was going to have the same issue, but I actually like Worthy where he's going now. I think last year he was going too high. This year, I've said I kind of think he should be in the 70-ish range. Obviously, a lot of unknowns, Rice situation, Kelsey situation, but Hollywood and Tyquan Thornton are free agents. I think Juju is as well. So it's like him and Jalen Royals who are on the team with Rice right now. And Rice, we don't know the situation. And he just had such a weird run out, getting hurt on, the first series of the game. A fluke situation, came back. He had a couple of flashes here or there, but just clearly wasn't the same. And now I actually think the Bieniemy upgrade helps as well. Even if Mahomes isn't ready week 1, I still think Worthy can return some value. Star method will get you every time. Well, quarterback is not fun. Green bean taking Chuck there. Yikes. I'll go Brenton Strange. I will do Jaden Higgins. Yeah, no. I mean, definitely ways where they can fail, and being a small receiver, he's more susceptible to some injuries. I like his upside potential. And, the Chiefs could definitely be bringing back like a Juju or a Tyquan, or, adding some other receiver. Maybe they bring back Hollywood again. I mean, Hollywood had 700 yards. But right now, where it stands now, Worthy could, maybe be the one, but if not the 2 on that team. Let's come up here. 1361. Quarterback is not in a great spot, but I have some options. So 143, 146. I'm hoping one of these quarterbacks come back to me. Shaheed is a guy, I think, his price hasn't really gone up. I think he could, there's situations he could go and be a number one somewhere. So feel good about that. Tyreek Hill thing, I'm surprised we haven't seen his price fall more. That was a bad injury. A really bad injury. And I know it was relatively early. We've just not heard anything about him being ready or anything like this year at this time. I think he got injured a little earlier than Diggs did, but we kind of knew that Diggs was ready to go. There was some positive reports, maybe not before the Super Bowl, but early February. I know there were. Take Stroud. But the Hill stuff, that injury was worse, and just I haven't heard anything. I don't know if anyone else has tracked it and gotten any good indications on where things stand. Speaking of Arizona, we'll take a James Conner shot here. So right now I'm just totally out on Tyreek until I hear, where his health is. Yeah, no, for sure. I took Hill a few times with being careful overall, getting an older, major lower body injury over the last entire speed. And also, we just don't know where he'll be. That's the other thing. Like he gets cut. He might sign just with a contender to be, to use this as like a year to get healthy. Or he could end up going to a really bad spot. Just, God, the Browns sign him, something like that. So I definitely worry. Like if he was going in, I think I'm ranked 170. If he's going to 170 and you say, oh, that's just 2.5 rounds later. Yeah, but I just feel a lot better. If I miss on a pick in the 170s, 180s, I feel a lot better than a pick in the 140s. Have to have one Mahomes Tyreek team. That's fair. I know there is some of those rumors, but I feel like that's a lot of wish casting. It's like he liked the enemy going back or something like that. Like Tyreek mental health would be just as important. Agreed. I mean, it definitely could be. I will probably be at like 1%, unless we get like clear indication. I guess in terms of big board, just because that injury is going to linger, I feel like this is kind of the ceiling-ish of where he should go. I know Diggs, for instance, went way higher, but so Diggs, before we knew his landing spot, was going in the 140s, 150s last year. He was going low, and then he really jumped once he got to the Bills, and it was clear he was going to be the Bills' number one. And then even post-draft, he was only going in the 70s. So why are we taking Tyreek? Why would we be taking Tyreek Hill? Like, I just don't think his ADP is going to rise until a landing spot's there and it's a clear path. So that's kind of the way I see it. And at the same time, we had a much better indication on Diggs last year. So 2, 4, 6, 1. Speaking of injured guys, yeah, I saw Daniel Jones go, but I figured Willis was gone. Yeah, I missed Willis had just gone. So now 2, 5, 6, 1. I'll take a Theo Johnson share. Not sure it's great, but I'm going to build this Penn State tight end room. Brenton Strange, Theo Johnson. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe if the ADP doesn't rise any when he gets a landing spot, we'll see. I'll have a tough time. I think I just need some reports because we were getting better reports out of Brandon Ayuk last year and dude didn't play a snap. Were you more Tyreek or Iron Manor? I will 100% say Iron Manor. So that gives you an indication of where I'm at for Tyreek. But a lot of that is also cost. Iron Manor's going 60 spots later. 20 rounds, I feel like I'm more likely to take him getting 8th receiver in 18 rounds. I wouldn't think the same. Yeah, no, I think you can prep for it a little bit more. You could take him in a 9 receiver build, 8 receiver builds, obviously. So definitely ways you could insulate yourself. Same with like Ayuk, who kind of goes in the same range, but we no clue. Or like Tank Dell goes 20 spots later. I think he should go way later. We're talking 2 major injuries. I know there's been a year of recovery, but they've also brought in, it's a different offense coordinator than the one that drafted him and he had success with. They brought in multiple receivers, including a 2nd and 3rd round pick this past year. So I'm going to be light on Tank Dell even at 180. Yeah. I don't know how he's going in the top 200, to be honest. Because even if he hits, how big is he going to hit? Like Joe Mixon, if he hits, he could be a monster. He could be end of the year worth the top 50 pick if he's the Joe Mixon of he was 2 years ago. Seemed like, other injured guys or a guy like a Travis Kelce is a age/retirement risk. Like if he hits, he's crushing his ADP. Morton Strange Theo stacks will feed families. That they would. You do a Penn State. Yeah, Frymuth would be the other one I could do. We'll feed bachelors. That's a good way to put it. That might end up what I do, though. So quarterback, could go Brissett. We'll take Horton. Don't mind Iron Manor there, but a little Horton. Shaheed likely moving on. Just for the team stack, I'll take Joe Mixon. All right, just a couple more picks to go. Yeah, we'll probably just have the standard. Well, we'll see if I tack on a third quarterback. So probably done at running back. Definitely, first three feel good about. Took a lot of risk here with injuries with the last three. Could easily talk myself into a seventh running back. Not sure I feel strong enough about my receivers to do so, though I don't mind them. Damn, I wish I had Burrow on this team. Feel a lot better. So my ranks, I have Jeremy Bernard way up there. He is falling. I have Cooper Kupp. I don't see him retiring. I don't see him necessarily being cut. Chris Rizzo, probably a guy I will slide down in my next rankings. I still think he's a second round pick, but could be more of a third rounder, and then definitely hasn't been as productive as some other rookies. The Tonjes Kittle situation is going to be an interesting one. I love in 20 round format just taking both and saying I have the 49ers tight end situation. Ideally more in a 4 tight end build, but I think you can get by with it with 3, those two, and then one other like decent starting tight end. Quarterback, it's less fun. Could do the Freiermuth, could do the whole Penn State. I'm going to do Eli Stowers. This feels like a team I could add a rookie tight end, take a shot on. As I said earlier in the show, landing spot's going to mean so much to them. But, if I end up with Strange Theo as just my 2 usable tight ends, I'm okay with that. And here, I'll tack on Aaron Rodgers here. I have DK Metcalf. If he comes back, I do think it's most likely to the Steelers. So maybe I backdoor my way into a stack there. If not, if he goes somewhere else, not the end of the world. And of course, if he retires, okay. I have Mahomes, I have Stroud. It's not great, but Rodgers just offers more upside than I feel like some of these guys. I'm high on Mariota. I think I will bump Mariota up with my next rankings. I need to bump Ty Simpson down. At this point, I just can't believe he's starting more than a handful of games, even as a first rounder. What's Atlanta going to do at quarterback? Yeah, I think they're in a tough boat. Cousins is going to essentially walk. They've said they would be interested in re-signing him at a smaller deal. They're going to release Cousins. He'll be free to, negotiate with anyone. Joe Flacco has been with Stefanski a couple times. Not sure if he liked his experience this past year, so I don't know if he would sign there. They need to sign somebody. I think the level of who they sign becomes very interesting. Could give some indication of where they feel Penix is, but we don't know. So, if I had to guess, I think they look to bring in, a free agent, but there's not a lot out there. I mean, there's going to be guys cut. Like, do they sign a Geno? Do they, sign a Russell Wilson? I don't know. Rivers, yeah, that would be absolutely crazy. I mean, the Joe Flacco thing would also be funny because Matt Ryan's now like the president of football, whatever title they gave him. He was in the same draft class as Matt Ryan, so that would be kind of funny. That is always a good tip, Mike. So I think I'm going to tack on, I could still do Freiermuth, but I think I'll tack on a receiver here. All right, green bean on the clock, and we'll go over these teams and get on out of here. I'll throw in Keenan Allen. Definitely another guy who could retire, but also another guy who could be one of the best 20th round clicks there is if he's playing again. So my team: Mahomes, Stroud, Aaron Rodgers, Derrick Henry, DeAndre Swift, Ramondre Stevenson, James Conner, Raylan Allen, Joe Mixon. A lot of injury risk at the bottom half, but also some upside if one or two of those guys end up with a pretty good projected role. Chase Higgins obviously wanted the Burrow stack. Devonta Smith didn't get hurts either. DK Metcalf, Denzel Boston. So strong receiver room up top. I really like Jane Higgins' current price. Horton is a guy I want a solid share of. And then Keenan Allen, hopefully he's back. Double Penn State tight ends here in Bretton Strange and Theo Johnson. And then threw in a rookie in Eli Stowers. Green Bean, 2693. Herbert, Chuck, Gibbs, Kyron, RJ Harvey, Kaytron Allen, Jonathan Brooks, Mike Washington. Kind of double anchor. Harvey, he's priced like a top end back. Definitely part of a big offense. And then, some young talent here. It's just a matter of where the rookies land. Is Brooks healthy? Receiver wise, Nico, Ben Burden, QJ, Jordan Addison, Elijah Surratt, Troy Franklin, Trey Harris, Keon Coleman, Jeremy Bernard. So throwing some volume at it. With Nico is kind of like the super anchor, Nico Burden, I guess you could say, and Gadsden, Ferguson, and then Claire at the end, Max Claire. Legion, 3683, Baker, Mendoza, Kyler Murray. I actually like that receiver room. I really think the ADPs are going to flip once Murray signs, or once we know where he's at. But still, I think that's a strong receiver room. JT is the anchor, Corm, Dowdle, Emma Johnson, Singleton, Emmanuel Wilson, Olave, Flowers, Christian Watson, Lemon, Evans, Josh Downs, Ridley, Tyquan Thornton. I mean, that receiver room through Evans, particularly not even taking one of the first 2 rounds, but just hammered it after that. Really strong. I mean, Downs is nice low value, particularly in a scenario where Pierce moves on. Ridley, we'll see where he is. We'll see where Thornton is. And then Bowers, Kate Otten, Mason Taylor. Otten, Mason Taylor, 2 great late round tight ends. And yeah, I mean, that's kind of all you need is insurance policy with Bowers. Losimo, 3773. May, Darnold, Willis. And very likely 3 starting quarterbacks when we see where Willis lands. Jacobs, Pollard, Algier, and Gainwell, Alvin Kamara, Damon Claiborne, Najee Harris. So strong, like even though only like one guy we know for sure, I think Pollard, whether it's in Tennessee or somewhere else, deserves chances to start. Algier, same. We know what Gainwell did. Kamara has the upside to get back to where we want. Lamb, London, Wilson, Waddle, Diggs, so 5 early, tack on a couple late in Brazil, and Cup. Kincaid, Schultz, and Njoku, waited till pack pick 100. I like that Kincaid's now going there. Schultz, I think, is strong value. And Njoku, we'll see where he lands, but a lot of paths forward that he can pay off that price. We got Dad and Jeff, and then we'll get on out of here. Jaden, Bryce Young, Michael Penix, Genty, Hampton, Monangai, so like double anchor early. Monangai, I think it's a nice little price. Tyron Tracy, I think for what he is good at 129. Sean Tucker, 160. Jaden Blue, 208. AJ Brown, Terry McLaurin, Jordan Tyson, Parker Washington, Brandon Ayuk. That's a pretty rich for me on Ayuk. And I know you said star method, so maybe that's where you were talking about. I wouldn't be surprised. I'm guessing that's it. But, still, it's a strong receiver room regardless. And then Andrews, Likely, and Colby Parkinson. And then finally, Jeff's team, 3693, Josh Allen, Caleb Williams, Jordan Love. I like, even though going early with Allen and you got him 7 picks later, still kind of bullying at quarterback and not just taking late quarterbacks. I mean, as we've seen with Allen, and this can be any top end quarterback, Allen was one of the best, was the best quarterback throughout the year, just wasn't a great playoff quarterback. Could be the exact same thing next year, and 2 years ago was like number 2 quarterback on the year, number 1 or 2, and then was the best week 15 quarterback, but terrible week 16, 17. It can happen even with the lead quarterback. So I like still having some teams where you're still investing in the position. Cook, ETN, JCM, Dobbins, Aaron Jones, Neal. I mean, you want it to break right for JCM. Probably want ETN back with Jacksonville, Dobbins, Denver, some other good situation. But he's definitely his paths forward, and Cook is definitely your anchor with ETN kind of close there as well. Neighbors, hopefully Matt Nagy doesn't zap him too much. Khalil Shakir, and no, I'll still be taking him in this range. Shakir, Reed, McMillan, Donnie Mitchell, Jacoby Lane, Marvin Mims, Chris Bell, Rashad Bateman, and then 2 tight end, but middle rounds of Warren and Tucker Kraft. So a nice different team build, and I should mention that with receiver, you took anchor with Neighbors, but then threw volume at it. A couple of speculative rookies, guys, who should perform better this year, like Mims, Bateman, Adonai Mitchell. Guys like Shakir and Reed, I think, are pretty solid. You'll get a lot of good, useful weeks out of them. Fun team for sure. I want to thank everyone for joining me. I will check out chat real quick, and then we will get out of here. Mike, save gold like that for the members only shows. Appreciate you guys. does Keenan Allen fall into that category of if he hits, he could hit big, at least for part of the year? Or I thought he still played well down the stretch. It was partly the emergence of Trey Harris as a blocker, the fact that QJ never went away, and Gadsden being such a good option. It was kind of an embarrassment of riches for the Chargers last year. If he goes to a team where he's more clearly the number 2 or the clear number 3, I don't. The tough thing to know is he's obviously had a preference for West Coast before. There's not many options there that make sense. Maybe 49ers. So we'll see where he lands, but I'm absolutely still buying some Keenan Allen 19th, 20th round. I think he still played fine down the stretch. I really do. It was just a limited capacity, but even limited capacity, it's some 10-point games. I wouldn't go overboard. Like last year, I think we were much clearer, like he was going to sign somewhere. This year, I think it's less clear. Love that Horton pick. Appreciate that. Same, I really think at least one of Shaheed or Cup won't be there in 2026. Horton looked at it. Yeah, no, agreed. Thank you for the review. I'm going to go watch the wide receiver talk playback. Appreciate you, Paul, and appreciate you, Ames, for becoming a YouTube member. It's a good reminder. Thank you, everyone, for jumping in, liking the episode, and subscribing. But we do have 2 membership options, so we really appreciate everyone who helps us out and supports us. And looking forward to doing this, building and growing this channel. I'll be back tomorrow at 1 p.m. with Who Hames, and we will talk rookies, we'll talk best ball, do some drafts, and have fun. So appreciate everyone for jumping in, and have a good rest of the day. I'll catch you tomorrow.